The hidden gap. Why school never taught you about wealth. You probably remember the feeling. Sitting in a classroom, taking notes, doing your homework, believing that if you followed the rules, life would work out. And yet, here you are, questioning why, despite doing everything right, financial freedom still feels out of reach. That gap you're feeling isn't your fault. It's built into the system. Schools were never designed to teach you wealth. They were designed to produce predictable adults who know how to follow instructions, meet deadlines, and conform. You learned formulas, history, grammar, and science. You memorized, practiced, tested, and repeated. But nowhere did they teach you about how money moves, how wealth grows, or even how to think about financial independence. That's the gap. Think about it this way. If school is a factory for compliant workers, then wealth education would be a map for explorers. One teaches you to survive in an existing system. The other teaches you to create your own system, something that was never prioritized for you. And that's why so many people work their entire lives, climb the career ladder, and still feel a quiet frustration they can't quite name. Here's the psychological part. Humans are pattern seekers. We assume that if we follow the instructions given to us, the result will naturally follow. But the moment you realize that the instructions were incomplete, or worse, designed for someone else's agenda, there's a jolt, a subtle panic, a frustration, even shame. You weren't taught this because the system doesn't want you questioning it. Not maliciously, it's just not its function. Understanding this is your first step toward clarity. The gap isn't a personal failure, it's a structural reality. Real life drives the point home. Look around. People with perfect grades, solid degrees, and stable jobs often struggle financially. They follow the rule book, and yet, something essential was missing: practical, actionable knowledge about building wealth, managing risk, and thinking strategically about money. That knowledge is learned elsewhere, through mentors, mistakes, experiments, and reflection. The sooner you accept that, the sooner you stop blaming yourself and start learning what truly matters. This realization can feel uncomfortable at first. It's like discovering that the map you've been following your whole life had blank spaces labeled, "Here be dragons." But here's the shift. Now that you see the blank spaces, you can explore them consciously. You can chart your own course. And this perspective, understanding the gap, seeing it clearly, is the foundation for the rest of the journey. Money myths that keep you stuck. You've probably heard it all before. Get a degree, land a good job, save consistently, and you'll be fine. Or maybe the whispers of luck, timing, or inheritance echo in your mind, as if wealth is reserved for someone else, somewhere else, under circumstances you can't control. Here's the thing, most of those rules are myths. They keep you stuck without you realizing it. Let's start with the first myth. You need a high-paying job to become wealthy. On the surface, it makes sense. More money in your bank account should mean more security, right? But wealth isn't about how much money comes in. It's about how much you control, how you leverage it, and how you make it grow. Think about people you know who earn well, but live paycheck to paycheck, stressed and trapped. High income alone doesn't guarantee freedom. It's the decisions around that income that determine your trajectory. The second myth, saving is the same as building wealth. Saving is necessary, but it's only the first step. Real wealth compounds. It grows when you understand investments, assets, and how to make money work for you. If you only save, you're exchanging time for security, and time is finite. Imagine working hard all your life, banking every penny, and only to realize that inflation and opportunity costs have quietly eroded the potential of what you thought was a secure nest egg. Emotional grounding comes from recognizing that security feels safe, but can also feel suffocating. Another common myth is, wealth is luck or inheritance. It's easy to look at someone who seems financially free and assume they had an easier start, got lucky, or had connections. While luck and background can play a role, the real differentiator is mindset and action. People who build wealth intentionally find opportunities where others see obstacles. They fail, learn, adjust, and keep moving forward. Real-world examples abound. Entrepreneurs who started with no capital, creatives who monetized small passions, employees who turned side skills into thriving businesses. They didn't wait for luck, they created it. Finally, the myth that money is all about numbers keeps many people paralyzed. Understanding numbers helps, but psychology drives your financial life more than math ever will. Fear, procrastination, limiting beliefs, and social comparison shape the choices you make, often unconsciously. Someone can understand compound interest perfectly yet avoid investing because of fear or uncertainty. Awareness of these patterns, your own emotional wiring, is a far more powerful tool than spreadsheets alone. These myths don't exist to trick you. They exist because society prioritizes stability over exploration, compliance over curiosity. Recognizing them is the first step toward freedom. When you start questioning these assumptions, when you realize that wealth is about systems, mindset, and consistent action rather than luck or credentials, the fog begins to lift. You begin to see not only what's been missing in your education, but also where your real power lies, in your choices, your perspective, and your willingness to challenge conventional thinking. The 5 rules of wealth: what school didn't teach you. Now that you see the myths, it's time to get practical. These are not abstract ideas. They are rules you can internalize, apply, and live by. Understanding them doesn't just clarify your path. It shifts how you think, how you make choices, and ultimately how you create financial freedom. Rule 1. Focus on assets, not income. Most people obsess over how much money they earn. They track paychecks, promotions, and raises as if that alone determines wealth. But wealth isn't measured by income. It's measured by assets that generate income for you. A small rental property, a side business, an investment portfolio, these are assets. They work for you while you sleep. Think of it like planting a tree. Income is water you pour every day. Assets are the seed you plant once that grows and keeps giving back. Rule 2. Make your money work. Don't just work for money. If you only trade hours for dollars, your freedom is limited. Learning how to leverage your money, investing, starting small businesses, or creating products allows you to multiply your effort. The psychology here is crucial. People fear risk, so they keep money safe, but static. The real growth comes when you move from passive to proactive strategies. Look at someone who turned a small savings into an investment that compounds over years. Their initial fear turned into long-term freedom. Rule 3. Develop financial literacy early and continuously. School never taught you how to read a balance sheet, understand taxes, or evaluate investments. That's why financial literacy is a superpower, and it compounds over time. Even small knowledge, like understanding compound interest or credit, makes an enormous difference when applied consistently. People who learn this early often avoid traps like debt cycles, poor credit, and impulsive spending, which quietly destroy wealth over decades. Rule 4. Control your behavior before you control your money. It's not about how much you earn. It's about how disciplined you are with your choices. Psychological biases like instant gratification, overconfidence, and comparison can sabotage even the highest income. Real wealth comes when your habits align with your long-term goals. Someone might earn $100,000 per year, but spend it all on lifestyle inflation, while another person earns $50,000 and builds a nest egg that grows year after year. Your behaviors, not your salary, dictate your trajectory. Rule 5. Time is the ultimate multiplier. Money without time is limited. Time without money is frustrating. The combination, used wisely, is exponential. Start early, even with small amounts, and let compounding of money, skills, and decisions work in your favor. Consider it like rolling a snowball down a hill. The earlier you start, the larger it grows. People often underestimate this because the effects are invisible at first, but patience and consistency are non-negotiable tools for building real wealth. These 5 rules aren't secrets. They're principles that anyone can learn and apply. What makes them powerful is not the theory, but living them, reflecting on them, and adjusting your mindset to align with them. They transform not just your finances, but your perspective on freedom, security, and possibility. The psychology of money, how your mind can build or break wealth. Here's the part most people overlook. Wealth isn't just about numbers, assets, or investments. It's about how you think, how you feel, and how you behave. Your psychology drives every financial decision, whether you realize it or not. Understanding this is what separates someone who stagnates from someone who grows exponentially. Fear and risk aversion. You avoid certain investments, side projects, or opportunities because fear whispers that you'll fail. That fear isn't random. It's a survival mechanism wired into your brain. Evolution built it to protect you from danger, not to create wealth. Recognizing this allows you to distinguish productive risk from reckless behavior. Someone who starts a small business despite fear is not reckless. They are translating courage into opportunity. Delayed gratification and impulse control. Your ability to wait and resist short-term rewards defines your long-term financial trajectory. Every decision to spend mindlessly chips away at future freedom. Conversely, each choice to invest, save, or learn compounds over time. Real-life example. Consider someone who opts to cook meals at home for a year instead of splurging on takeout. That small behavior can free thousands of dollars for investments that grow year after year. Identity and beliefs about money. How you see yourself shapes your financial habits. If you believe, "I'm just not good with money," you unconsciously reinforce behaviors that confirm that belief. On the other hand, adopting the identity of someone who is capable, disciplined, and proactive around money changes how you act. It's subtle, but incredibly powerful. People who shift their mindset from scarcity to possibility often see immediate behavioral changes. They ask for raises, invest early, and take calculated risks that others shy away from. Comparison and social pressure. Wealth is deeply relative in your mind. Social media, peers, and societal standards constantly pressure you to measure up. This creates stress, overspending, and decisions based on image rather than strategy. Recognizing this influence allows you to pause and align your choices with your long-term goals, rather than external validation. The key takeaway here is this: money is a tool, but your mind determines how effectively you use it. Understanding your biases, fears, and habits allows you to shape your behavior consciously, which ultimately shapes your results. Master the psychology, and the rules of wealth become far easier to apply. From knowledge to action, turning lessons into real results. Understanding the rules of wealth and the psychology behind money is important, but knowledge alone doesn't change your life. Transformation happens when you move from thinking to doing. This is where most people stumble. They know what they should do, but they hesitate, overanalyze, or wait for the perfect moment. The truth is, perfection is a mirage. Action is the only thing that creates momentum. Start small, start consistently. You don't need to overhaul your entire financial life in a week. Pick one habit, one action, one decision, and commit to it. Open a small investment account. Automate a tiny portion of your income towards savings. Start tracking expenses. These small, consistent actions accumulate over time, compounding not just your money, but your confidence and understanding. Apply the 5 rules daily. Every decision can reflect the rules of wealth. Focus on assets, leverage your money, increase your financial literacy, control your behavior, and respect time. Even small choices, like choosing a side hustle, negotiating a raise, or investing in education, become micro-practices that shape your trajectory. Real-world example. Someone who starts by dedicating 1 hour a week to learning investment strategies can, within a year, make smarter decisions that grow exponentially compared to their peers. Reflect and adjust. Action without reflection is wandering. Review your financial behaviors weekly or monthly. Ask yourself, am I living aligned with my long-term goals? Are my fears or impulses sabotaging my progress? Adjust strategies, habits, or mindset as necessary. Reflection transforms repetitive action into purposeful action, turning trial and error into growth. Accountability and support systems. You don't need to do this alone. Mentors, communities, or even a friend who understands your goals can help keep you honest and motivated. People who share their journey, setbacks, and wins create a feedback loop that accelerates growth. Accountability transforms vague intentions into tangible results. The bridge from understanding to action is simple in concept, but challenging in practice. It requires courage, patience, and discipline. But when you commit to even one meaningful action, the gap between where you are and where you want to be begins to close. Knowledge becomes lived experience. Confusion becomes clarity. And slowly, you begin to feel in control, capable, and empowered. The emotional cost of waiting. Why you can't afford to delay. Every day you wait, hesitation silently erodes your potential. Waiting for the perfect time, the right opportunity, or until you feel ready is the most expensive procrastination of all, not in dollars, but in lost time, lost growth, and lost confidence. Life is moving, and every moment spent waiting is a moment your future self can't get back. The weight of inaction. The truth is, waiting feels safe, but it's actually costly. Staying in your comfort zone reduces risk, but it also reduces opportunity. People who delay investing, learning, or taking risks often feel a vague dissatisfaction, a nagging sense that they're capable of more, but they're stuck. That feeling isn't imagined. It's the emotional cost of inaction accumulating silently over years. Opportunity lost is invisible. You can't measure every opportunity you didn't take. Missing a chance to start a side hustle, to learn a skill, or to invest early feels abstract at first, but over time, the gap widens between where you are and where you could have been. Real-life example. Someone who invests $50 per month starting at May 20th grow a substantial nest egg by 30, while someone who waits until 30 to invest faces an uphill battle even with higher contributions. The math isn't the only factor. Time compounds growth psychologically and materially. Fear and perfection as the thieves of action. You might feel unprepared or uncertain, and that's natural. Fear whispers, "Not yet. Wait until it's safe." Perfection says, "I can't start until everything is aligned." Both are powerful illusions. Recognizing them is the first step to breaking free. People who succeed don't wait to feel ready. They learn along the way, adjusting as they go. Action precedes certainty, not the other way around. The shift from delay to momentum. The moment you decide to act, even imperfectly, your entire relationship with wealth, time, and opportunity changes. Action builds confidence. It sharpens learning. It transforms abstract knowledge into lived experience. The emotional relief and clarity you gain from taking the first step are often far greater than any perceived risk of starting too early or too small. Waiting may feel safe, but growth only happens when you lean into discomfort. Each delayed day is an invisible cost. Each small action is a compounding gain. Understanding this is crucial. Clarity, freedom, and wealth don't arrive in the waiting room. They arrive in motion. Beyond money, wealth is freedom, growth, and legacy. By now, you've learned that wealth isn't just about income or assets. It's bigger, deeper, and far more personal. True wealth is a combination of freedom, growth, and the ability to leave a meaningful impact. Money is a tool, but what it enables is where the real value lies. Freedom, time, choice, and peace of mind. Wealth gives you options. It lets you choose how to spend your time, what projects to pursue, and who to spend your life with. People often chase a high income without realizing that freedom, not the number in your bank account, is the true metric of security. Think of someone who can say no to unnecessary obligations, who can take time off to recharge, or who can explore opportunities without the anxiety of immediate survival. That freedom is priceless, and it comes from consistent application of the rules you've learned. Growth, expanding capability and confidence. Financial literacy, disciplined habits, and intentional action do more than grow money. They grow you. Each decision to invest, learn, or take calculated risks builds skill, confidence, and resilience. Your identity shifts from someone who reacts to circumstances to someone who shapes them. Real-life anecdote. Consider a friend who started with a small side project while holding a full-time job. Over time, the project not only generated income, but expanded their confidence and opened doors they never imagined. Wealth in this sense is personal evolution. Legacy, impact beyond yourself. Money can be a legacy, but so can your decisions, actions, and knowledge. Wealth allows you to support causes, mentor others, or create systems that outlast you. True wealth connects you to something bigger than yourself, the ability to leave a meaningful mark. People often undervalue this aspect because it's not immediate or tangible, but it's where long-term fulfillment comes from. Someone who teaches others to manage money, start a business, or build skills has impact that multiplies beyond their own lifetime. When you see wealth this way, it reframes every decision, every habit, every action. The rules of wealth, the psychology of money, and the courage to act suddenly become part of a larger framework, not just surviving or earning, but creating a life of autonomy, growth, and purpose. That's the real transformation, when money serves the life you want, not the other way around. Your next step, claiming the rules of wealth for yourself. You've walked through the hidden gap, uncovered myths, learned the rules, explored the psychology of money, and seen the deeper meaning of wealth. Now comes the most important part, applying it. Knowledge transforms into freedom only when paired with deliberate action. Clarify your goals. Start by defining what wealth means to you personally. Is it financial security, time freedom, personal growth, or leaving a legacy? Be specific. Vague intentions produce vague results. Write it down, visualize it, and revisit it regularly. This clarity will guide your decisions and keep you focused when distractions or fear appear. Take one action today. Action doesn't have to be massive, it has to be consistent. Pick one tangible step that aligns with your wealth goals. Open that investment account. Research a side project. Automate a small portion of income. Even a tiny step breaks inertia and creates momentum. Momentum compounds, just like the money you've learned to grow. Reflect, adjust, repeat. Progress isn't linear. Expect missteps and learning curves. What matters is reflection. Analyze what works, what doesn't, and why. Adjust your habits, mindset, and strategy. This iterative approach turns uncertainty into clarity, mistakes into lessons, and effort into results. Anchor in purpose. Remember why you're doing this. Wealth without purpose is empty. Align your actions with your larger life vision, freedom, growth, and impact. Each decision becomes more meaningful when you anchor it in your values, rather than chasing numbers alone. The journey from confusion to clarity is not a straight line. It's a process of awareness, understanding, action, and reflection. By claiming the rules of wealth for yourself, you shift from passive learning to active transformation. You stop waiting for permission, you stop hoping for luck, and you start building the life you want, deliberately, intelligently, and confidently. This is where knowledge becomes lived experience, and where potential becomes reality.